from Owen.
Oh, thanks. Is it? I guess that's filming then.
You can eat it if you want, yeah.
Oh, well, might as well. You handed it to me. I'm
Definitely poisoned.
probably gonna.
It's a bit melted. Talk amongst yourselves.
It's hard work, isn't it? Jesus.
It won!
Oh, look!
It won!
I'm impressed.
I can tell.
I'm impressed.
Now you get to throw that bit, Stu.
Not me.
My name's Colin Barnes. I'm a local gym owner in Thanet, Ramsgate, and attached to that expensively. It's got to be one of the RS4 Audi events because it's fast, it's practical, it looks cool, well made, comfortable, fast, practical, looks cool, well made, comfortable. And you can do, we had this, Aaron and I had this conversation a while ago about estate, I quite like estate cars, I think they look cool. You can do a tip run, I quite like a tip run. That's so stupid, but I quite like a tip run. If I could do it in one hit, especially now, you're allowed to go 4 times in a month for some weird reason.
Why do you need to go any more than 4 times in a month?
Oh, I just seem to accumulate a lot of rubbish around me. 4 Mark 1 golfs in the first year. They were cheap then. The first one cost 60 quid. No, I didn't crash them. No, bought them, sold them, bought one off Owen. And just, they were cheap. This is 20 years ago, 21 years ago, so they weren't big money. Then I've had 4 Jettas, 2 legit GTIs, which are both scrapped. Sorry, everyone. Mazda 323 turbos, a couple of crap diesels, crappy Saab diesel, BMW E30s, 325i old E30. My brother crashed that. What else have I had? Mark II Golfs, Mark IV Golfs, Mercedes C-Class. That's quite a nice car. It's quiet but well boring. Supercharged. Couldn't hear the supercharger. Take the airbox off. Couldn't hear the supercharger. Didn't even have a supercharger. Yes, it did, but you just couldn't hear it. Oh, Renault Clio Sport. I had one of those. Silver Phase 1 Renault Clio Sport 172. That was a cool car. Obviously, I couldn't fit in it too well because they were tiny cars. That was very clean. Should have kept that car because it was an unmolested original car as well. Original wheels, everything. Bought that snap cam belt, fixed that. That was cool. Then I bought and sold so many. The engine that came out of in that Jetta, I bought that car once as spares a repair. That had a jump timing chain, fixed that, sold that on and bought it 3 years later for the donor engine for that. So I've had that car twice. Oh, Renault 9 Turbo bought off Owen. That was a cool car. Same engine as a Renault 5 Turbo, 4-door body. That's an old D-Reg and that is still on the road. If you look up now, the registration, the guy Owen sold it to, that's still on the road and that's like, that's a cool car. My favourite car, I had a Volkswagen Polo as well, and an MR2, we'll get back to that. Probably my little Mazda 323 Turbo. I had 3 of those, can't get one for under £5 now if you can find one that hasn't rusted away. I had a red one, stripped out. I had custom wheels that made, custom pistons, front mate intercooler, a bigger turbo. That was really cool. It was awful to drive because it had no interior and it was absolutely rat as anything. I had big white mud flaps on that as well, like a little mini rally car. And not a lot of people knew what they were, a little 4-wheel drive, same engine as their Mazda MX-5 track car, but earlier, 4-wheel drive turbocharged, really cool car. That was probably my favourite one actually. That's probably the one I regret getting rid of. Besides my black Jetta, I do regret getting rid of that one for other reasons. That was just ridiculous. But yeah, probably my Mazda, I think. Oh, it's gonna be French.
Yes. Yes, it is.
It's gonna be French.
Megane 225 F1.
No. Probably a Renault Modus for just being shit to work on. Like, let's take the front end off to do a headlight bulb. You're sacked. You're fired. Why would you design that? Get out.
If you had a Modus, would you employ it?
No, I'd probably set it on fire and push it around a little bit, yeah. If I had the money, I'd buy them and just scrap them. I'd do the world a favour and just go, well, that's 50 quid. That's not a problem. Got a lot of money. Rec Commit would love me. You know, just like, fucking scrap it. Don't sell it for parts. Squash it. No, only drag strips. Never ever done a single track day in my life. Just Santa Pod, North Weald, which doesn't It's not there anymore, is it, North Wales? That's a shame, that's a good one. There was myself, Owen, and a friend of ours, Simon. We went to, is it Bruntingthorpe, top speed run? That's in your old black 200. And the only photo we've got of that day is me in his car. But that was cool, but only drag racing. And everything I've ever drag raced has broken to a degree, but I've always managed to drive it home. Never gone to the point where I need to get a tow truck, which is good because from here to Northampton is, that is the photo.
That's the actual one.
That's the photo. I forgot you had that.
Not even a copy.
That's me in a hat and Owen's, that is the actual photo. That's the one. Something car related. I mean, if you called a child Turbo, that would be clearly the coolest child in the school, right? Because anything with Turbo in the title is clearly cool. Look at the 80s when they named everything Turbo. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Turbo shave.
Turbo Shave, Renault 5 Turbo. Exactly.
Trainers.
I'm going with Turbo.
Turbo car.
Yeah, one TB. Tuberculosis. TB here. I'm gonna let Andrea know that one. See if she goes. I've got a new name for the kid when it's born. You might like it. You couldn't call it Crankshaft. That'd be ridiculous. Don't why? Don't do it. Oh, obviously can't be proved. So, on GPS in that 147 runs out of gears, then spins number one bearing on the crankshaft. Yay. In my black Jetta, the speedo was working. That speedo does work, and that went up to 160, and I had it off of 160, but it wasn't accurate speedo. But recently, 147, which is scary in that because it's really rattling. Yeah, but when you're in it, you're like, oh, I'm in it now. Anything past 100 is may as well be 200 because it all feels the same. Old school, definitely. Yeah, old school but with new school tech from 20 years ago. Yeah, so the first one was probably my first Jetta, grey Jetta 1.6. It wasn't a CL. TX, that was it. It was a 1600 TX, just a regular carburetor, E-Reg, Atlas grey. Bought that local in Broadstairs. Bought a black second-hand 16-valve genuine Jetta, which was really beat up. That was cheap. These cars were cheap back in the day. This is like 19, 20 years ago. Swapped all the 16-valve motor and running gear into my grey Jetta because the body was better. It had some hideous painted body kit on it, pulled all that off. This was back when you could phone the Volkswagen dealer and get all the brand new bumpers, arches, every part was still in stock. Bought new bumpers, G60 wide arches, 17-inch BBS wheels, lower suspension, looked really, really cool. You might even have pictures of it as well. I've still got pictures of it as well. That ended up going to Santa Pod drag racing. Sold that. I think after that I bought my first 323 turbo off one of our friends, Ashley, red one. Completely stripped that, custom wheels, custom forged pistons from, I can't remember the company in America now. Still got one of the pistons in my toolbox because I melted it, because the engine ran lean, because I didn't get it tuned, and I wound the boost up, racing 2 Honda Civics. Yes, I did win the race. And the police saw us, we legged it, didn't get caught. Yeah, that was custom wheels, stripped interior, bucket seats, turbo timer. I did put a front mount intercooler on it, but never hooked it up. I didn't really know how. That had alley light and flywheel, helix paddle clutch. There is a video on YouTube of me and Steve Heesman, who works here, racing at Santa Pod. The next big build I did after that was probably, it was a W-Edge 6N2 Polo. Bought that cheap as, 3-door, bought an MR2 Turbo Rev 3, and then chopped up the MR2 Turbo to the engine bay and put the engine bay of the MR2 in the back of my Polo. Didn't really know what I was doing, cut too much out of the Polo, so it was a bit wobbly, had no strength left in the seals, but I have photos of it with the engine bay sitting on the wheels, and the wheelbase sat perfectly on a 6N2 Polo. If someone's gonna do it, please do that. It's a cool swap. Bought direct port nitrous injection for it as well. 100 shot of nitrous. It's a 240 horsepower motor anyway. So 100 shot of nitrous in a short wheelbase polo. That's the only project I've never finished, and I wish I knew what I was doing. I bought a roll cage from Safety Devices or OMP, I can't remember now, to tie it all in, but it was literally a polo body on an MR2 engine bay, and it would have been very cool. And I probably would still have that car now, and it probably would have been sitting behind me if I'd finished that, because that's not the sort of thing you get rid of. And then it was this white Jetta, pretty much. Engine swapped that was a standard car, been in the country since 2016, German import, left-hand drive. Don't see two-door ones ever. That's the only one I've ever seen in real life, pretty much. Audi turbo engine, and then just been changing gearboxes, bigger turbos, ECUs, remaps, exhausts, more turbos, probably some more ECUs, and then some more gearboxes and clutches, and it's now where it is, pretty much. But it was a standard car when I bought it, and it still looks fairly standard, besides a set of wheels. All the stuff I've done to it, you can't see it, I've hidden it, tried to anyway, so you wouldn't know what's underneath the bonnet, pretty much. Yeah, the one for that 2 weeks ago. It spun a bearing doing 147 on a private road, which is weirdly named the M2. I don't understand it. Like, how have they done this? It's bizarre. Yeah, but it was. I think it was a combination of it was running slightly hot because of a iffy thermostat and too thin of oil. But it spun up one bearing on the crank. I had a spare engine, as you do. I bought an emergency spare VR6 engine just in case, and then stripped that in my kitchen, pulled the engine out outside my gym, stripped it in my kitchen in the gym, and then rebuilt it. Yeah, it's at my, no, not at home, at my gym, in the gym. Yeah. No, she didn't mind. Yeah, she didn't mind. Yeah, she like. I bought a marquee thing, like a pop-up marquee to do it, but I never used it in the end. But I just took the engine out and just wheeled it in the gym, put it in the kitchen. It'd have to be water, because you can't destroy water unless you freeze it and shoot it off the planet into space. It's right though.
Shoot it off the planet. Straight out the atmosphere. Like some kind of aliens. Get rid of the water quick. Boom.
So if you want to know a bit more about my Jetta, I think it's the third video on Motor Addicts. It's the second most video on Motor Addicts, not the first. It should be the first. Have a watch of that. You can always message Owen or leave a comment on YouTube. I occasionally read the comments on YouTube, so I might reply. It might just be a joke. But like, share and subscribe to the channel. And I've forgotten what I was meant to do the last bit. What was the third one?
That's it. Yeah.
I totally forgot what I was meant to do.
I like it because it wasn't too scripted.
11,000.
11,000?
Yeah.
Blimey, no one likes Chimp, he's only got 1.2.